Good afternoon. This is All India Radio. I'm Anuja Kumar and with me is Abhishek Mukhopadhyay with the midday news. The headlines. Both houses of parliament adjourned till 2 p.m. due to ruckus over Pegasus snooping, farm laws and other issues. Prime Minister Narendra Modi asks BJP MPs to ensure everyone becomes part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav to mark the 75th Independence Day celebration. President Ramnath Kovind addresses convocation ceremony of University of Kashmir in Srinagar. Women and Child Development Minister Smriti Irani launches 24/7 helpline number for women affected by violence. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to leave for Tajikistan today to participate in the SCO Defence Ministers meet. U.S. Secretary of State Antony J. Blinken to arrive in New Delhi today on a two-day visit. More than 44 crore 19 lakh COVID vaccine doses administered in the country so far. National COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 97.39%. In Olympics, boxer Lavlina Borgohain enters quarterfinals in women's welterweight category. Satvik Sairaj Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty beat Ben Lane and Sean Wendy of Great Britain in final Group A match of men's doubles badminton. And in cricket, second T20 international between India and Sri Lanka to be played in Colombo this evening. As the nationwide free COVID-19 vaccination campaign at government facilities for those above 18 years is going on, we advise our young listeners to get vaccinated and also to help others to get vaccinated. We also advise our listeners not to lower their guard as COVID-19 remains a threat to our health. Please stay at home unless it is essential to go out and continue to follow these three simple steps. Wear a face mask, maintain 2 gaz ki duri for social distancing, focus on hand and face hygiene. For any COVID-related information and guidance, contact national helpline numbers 01123978046 and 1075. And now the news in detail. Both the Houses of Parliament continued to face disruptions over Pegasus snooping, farm laws and other issues. Both the Houses were adjourned due to the ruckus till 2 p.m. When the Lok Sabha met after the third adjournment at 12:30 p.m., members from Congress, DMK, TMC and other opposition parties trooped into the well, raising slogans over the issues. Minister of State for Parliamentary Affairs Arjun Ram Meghwal appealed to the agitating members to allow the House to function and raise their issues in proper manner. As the noisy scenes continued, the presiding officer adjourned the House till 2 p.m. Earlier, amid uproar, Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla tried to run the question hour. He repeatedly urged the agitating members to allow the House to function as several important issues are listed for discussion. As ruckus continued, Mr. Birla adjourned the House. The scene was no different in the Rajya Sabha. When the House reassembled after the first adjournment at 12 noon, members from Congress, TMC, Left and others again trooped into the well, raising slogans. Union Minister Mukhtar Abbas Naqvi criticized the agitating members, saying the kind of language being used by them against Prime Minister Narendra Modi is objectionable. He said the agitating members are also violating the COVID protocols. Amid ruckus, Deputy Chairperson Harivansh tried to run the question hour, but in vain. Later, the House was adjourned till 2 p.m. Prime Minister Narendra Modi today asked the BJP MPs to work to ensure that everyone becomes a part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav, which is being celebrated to mark the 75th Independence Day of India. Briefing media after the BJP Parliamentary Party meeting, Minister of State for Parliamentary Affairs Arjun Ram Meghwal informed about the Prime Minister saying that an action plan must be created for the next 25 years and ideas must be collected from people on how to achieve the best benchmarks in 2047, when India will complete 100 years of independence. Mr. Modi said 2 hand-picked party workers will visit 75 villages per assembly constituency between the 15th of August 2022 and 15th of August 2023. They will spend 75 hours in each village to collect ideas and noteworthy initiatives which will be collated further for the development of the country.
The Agriculture Ministry has said several schemes are being implemented to promote organic farming in the country. Minister of State for Agriculture and Farmers Welfare Kailash Chaudhary informed Lok Sabha that under conventional farming, Namami Gange and natural farming schemes, organic farming is promoted among farmers. He said currently 38 lakh hectare areas covered under organic farming across the country. Shiromani Akali Dal and Bahujan Samajwadi Party MPs today protested in Parliament complex over farmers' issue. Talking to media persons, senior Akali Dal leader and former Minister Harsimrat Kaur said government should take back 3 farm laws which are against the farmers of the country. She said they will raise the farmers' issue in and outside Parliament until the matter is resolved.
Law and Justice Minister Kiren Rijiju today said Northeast MPs Forum has appealed to the people living in the border areas of Mizoram and Assam to maintain peace and harmony. Talking to the media outside the Parliament, Mr. Rijiju said the Home Ministry is taking care of the issue.
Northeast MPs Forum has made an appeal to the people of Mizoram and people of Assam, particularly people living in the border areas, to maintain peace and harmony. We must always maintain the spirit of the 8 sisters from northeastern region, and we must ensure complete peace all along the border areas.
President of India Ram Nath Kovind addressed the 19th annual convocation of the University of Kashmir at Kashmir International Convention Centre, situated on the banks of the world-famous Dal Lake in Srinagar today. Speaking on the occasion, the President said,
"First and foremost, I would like to congratulate the young students of the University of Kashmir who are being conferred with their respective degrees in this convocation, post-Eid Mubarak. I would like to tell each of you that your quest for learning and your faith in knowledge as an agent of change are really inspiring. The credit for this also goes to the teachers and administrators of the University of Kashmir."
President Kovind said that he was delighted to be in this land of great historical and cultural significance. He said that Kashmir has been called Rishi Vair, the land of saints, and has always attracted spiritual seekers from far and wide.
I take this opportunity to urge upon the younger generation of Kashmir to learn from their rich legacy. They have every reason to know that Kashmir has always been a beacon of hope for the rest of India. Its spiritual and cultural influence has its imprint all across India. It was most unfortunate that this outstanding tradition of peaceful coexistence was broken. Violence, which was never part of Kashmiriyat, became the daily reality. It is alien to Kashmiri culture, and it can only be termed as an aberration, a temporary one, much like a virus that attacks the body and needs to be purged. Now there is a new beginning and determined efforts to regain this land's lost glory.
Mr. Kovind said the University of Kashmir has made remarkable progress as 3 lakh students received degrees today, with more than 2.5 lakh bachelors and more than 1,000 doctorates over the past 8 years.
The University of Kashmir has added another feather in the cap with the setting up of 2 centers that are of high importance. One is devoted to glaciology and the other to Himalayan biodiversity documentation, bioprospection and conservation. Then there is also the National Himalayan Ice Core Laboratory. Climate change, as you are aware, is the most critical challenge before humanity in this century. Global warming is making its impact everywhere, but nowhere is it more felt than in the fragile ecosystem of the Himalayas. I am confident that these 2 centers of excellence and the laboratory will help Kashmir and also show the way to the world in combating climate challenges and nurturing nature. I would like to encourage youngsters to take this opportunity provided by these platforms. they can look forward to a happy combination of a great cause and a great career.
The Lieutenant Governor of J&K, Manoj Sinha, who happens to be the Chancellor of the University, his advisors, Member of Parliament Dr. Farooq Abdullah, Vice Chancellors of various universities, among others, were present on the occasion.
Women and Child Development Minister Smriti Irani today launched a 24/7 helpline number for women affected by violence. The helpline number is 7827170170. Speaking at the launch, the minister congratulated National Commission for Women and said the helpline gives a message to women that whenever they are in need, their government and commission will stand by them. The aim of the helpline is to provide round-the-clock emergency and non-emergency complaints and counseling services to women affected by violence. The helpline will link them with appropriate authorities such as police, hospitals, district legal service authority, psychological services, and providing information about women-related government programs across the country through a single uniform number. The new helpline aims to facilitate integrated range of services for women affected with violence under one roof, such as help from police, psychosocial counseling, and access to one-stop centers, among other services. More than 44 crore 19 lakh COVID vaccine doses have been administered in the country so far under the nationwide vaccination drive. Union Health Ministry said more than 66 lakh vaccine doses were administered during the last 24 hours. The recovery rate has reached 97.39%. More than 42,000 patients recovered during the last 24 hours. Till now, more than 3 crore 6 lakh people have recovered from COVID-19. India reported more than 29,000 new cases in the last 24 hours. India reports less than 30,000 daily cases after 132 days. Daily positivity rate is 1.73% and it remains below 5%. 415 deaths have been reported in the last 24 hours.
Health Ministry today said that more than 45.73 crore vaccine doses have been provided to states and UTs so far, and a further 24,11,000 doses are in the pipeline. Of this, the total consumption including wastages is 43 crore 80,46,844 doses. More than 2.28 crore balance and unutilized COVID vaccine doses are still available with the states and UTs and private hospitals to be administered. Bihar government has taken a decision to give an ex gratia of rupees 4 lakh to the next of the kin of those 7,500 deceased persons who lost their lives due to COVID pandemic across the state. The state government has allocated 300 crore in the first supplementary budget of the current financial year, which was tabled in the State Assembly. Deputy Chief Minister Tar Kishore Prasad, who holds finance portfolio, said rupees 1,000 crore will be spent for COVID eradication program in the state. Meanwhile, no COVID case was reported from 18 districts. The number of active cases in the state came below 500, which is 467. The state's recovery rate has risen to above 98%. 93 new cases were reported in the state during the last 24 hours. Over 2 crore 26 lakh people have been vaccinated in the state so far.
The News Services Division of All India Radio and its bilingual live phone-in program Corona Jagrukta series will bring a special discussion program on COVID-19 tonight. Dr. Neeraj Nischal of AIIMS, New Delhi, will participate in the live discussion. Listeners can ask questions to the expert on toll-free number 1800-115767 and on telephone number 011-233-14444. You can also post your queries on a Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts by hashtag AskAIR. This can be heard tonight on the FM Gold channel and edition frequencies from 9:30 p.m. onwards. This program will also be available on the website newsonair.nic.in and on a YouTube channel News on AIR Official. You can also follow us on the News on AIR app for updates. In Madhya Pradesh, the state government has prepared the Ayush-based economic upgradation scheme Devaranya Yojana with the twin objectives of improving people's health and livelihood of tribals. Chief Minister Shivraj Singh Chauhan said that wellness tourism will be promoted in the state. For this, medicinal plants should be cultivated in the beautiful plains of the villages. Our correspondent has filed this report.
Chief Minister said that more than 360 new Ayush Health and Wellness Centers are being established in the state. Ayush super speciality hospitals are being constructed in Indore and Bhopal. He informed that upgradation of Ayurvedic and Unani dispensaries is also being done in the state. Ayush and tourism will be brought together to boost employment opportunities in tribal areas under the scheme. Pooja P. Vardhan, AIR News, Bhopal.
You are listening to the Midday News on All India Radio. A reminder of the headlines before we move on. Both the Houses of Parliament adjourned till 2 p.m. due to ruckus over Pegasus snooping, farm laws and other issues. Prime Minister Narendra Modi asked BJP MPs to ensure everyone becomes part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav to mark 75th Independence Day celebration. President Ramnath Kovind addresses convocation ceremony of the University of Kashmir in Srinagar. Women and Child Development Minister Smriti Irani launches 24/7 helpline number for women affected by violence. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to leave for Tajikistan today to participate in the SCO Defence Ministers Meet. US Secretary of State Antony J. Blinken to arrive in New Delhi today on a 2-day visit. More than 44 crore 19 lakh COVID vaccine doses administered in the country so far. National COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 97.39%. In Olympics, boxer Lovlina Borgohain enters quarterfinals of the women's welterweight category. Satvik Sairaj Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty beat Ben Lane and Sean Vendy of Great Britain in the final Group A match of the men's doubles badminton. And in cricket, second T20 international between India and Sri Lanka to be played in Colombo this evening. For quick news updates around the clock, follow us on our Twitter handle at AIR News Alerts.
चलो मिलकर एक शुरुआत करें, चलो एक फैसला आज करें, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे, चलो एक इरादा करते हैं, चलो कुछ वादा करते हैं, मास्क नहीं तो टोकेंगे, कोरोना को रोकेंगे.
Welcome back to the Midday News on All India Radio. In news just in, Lok Sabha has been adjourned till 2:30 and Rajya Sabha till 3 p.m. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh will leave for Tajikistan's capital Dushanbe today to participate in the Shanghai Cooperation Organization's Defence Ministers Meet. The main engagement, which is tomorrow, includes a joint call by the SCO Defence Ministers with Tajikistan's President Inomali Rahman. The SCO as a grouping occupies 60% of the Eurasian continent, which is over 34 million square kilometers. SCO countries is having a population of over 3 billion, that is almost half of the world's population. US Secretary of State Antony J. Blinken will arrive in New Delhi today on a 2-day visit to India. This is Secretary Blinken's first visit to India after assuming charge as the US Secretary of State. More from our correspondent.
Tomorrow, Mr. Blinken will meet External Affairs Minister Dr. S. Jaishankar and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval. Both sides will review the robust and multifaceted India-US bilateral relations and potential for consolidating them further. Discussions will focus on regional and global issues of mutual interest, including recovery from the COVID-19 pandemic, the Indo-Pacific region, Afghanistan, and cooperation in the United Nations. Secretary Blinken's visit is an opportunity to continue the high-level bilateral dialogue and bolster the India-US Global Strategic Partnership. Anupam Mishra, AR News, Delhi.
12th edition of Indo-Russian Joint Military Exercise Indra 2021 will be held at Volgograd, Russia from the 1st to 13th of next month. The exercise will entail conduct of counter-terror operations under the United Nations mandate by Joint Force against international terror groups. 250 personnel from both the nations will form part of the exercise. The Indian Army contingent, comprising of a mechanized infantry battalion, underwent rigorous training at different locations in India to refine their drills for participation in the joint exercise. Hat-trick rallies are seen in Karnataka BJP as the selection of new Chief Minister has to begin after B.S. Yedurappa stepped down yesterday. Home Minister Basavaraj Bommai informed media persons that it may take 3 to 4 days to announce the successor to B.S. Yedurappa. More from a correspondent.
The Central Party observers are expected to arrive in Bengaluru by afternoon today to hold discussions with the State Core Committee and State Party President. It is said that Union Ministers G. Kishan Reddy and Dharmendra Pradhan are arriving in the afternoon as central observers. In the evening at 7 o'clock, the State Legislative Party meeting will be held where the name of new Chief Minister is likely to be finalized. The names of various BJP leaders are making the rounds as the probables for the Chief Minister's position. But only Legislative Party meeting in the evening today may come out with an answer on who will be the CM and who will be inducted as Council of Minister in the government. Sudhindra, AIR News, Bengaluru.
The 6th death anniversary of former President APJ Abdul Kalam was observed at his native place, Pekarumbu at Rameshwaram today. District Collector of Ramanathapuram was also there. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu today paid tributes to the former President of India, Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, on his death anniversary. In a tweet, Mr. Naidu said he was a distinguished scientist, a visionary statesman, and above all, a great human being. The Vice President said, known by the sobriquet People's President, Dr. Kalam continues to remain an inspiration to many, especially the youth. Home Minister Amit Shah also said Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam was a unique epitome of wisdom and hard work who spent every moment of his life empowering India. He said his life, full of simplicity and ideals, will always inspire everyone to serve the nation. Vice President M. Venkaiah Naidu has greeted the peacemakers of the nation CRPF on their 83rd Raising Day. In a tweet, Mr. Naidu said, CRPF has always been at the forefront in maintaining public order, internal security and countering militancy. He said the nation is grateful for their selfless service. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has greeted Central Reserve Police Force CRPF personnel and their families on the Raising Day of the force. In a tweet, Mr. Modi said the CRPF is known for its valor and professionalism. He said it has a key role in India's security apparatus. Home Minister Amit Shah also greeted the Central Reserve Police Force CRPF personnel. In a tweet, Mr. Shah said this valorous force plays a vital role in India's growth by preserving the internal security and national integrity of the country.
52nd International Film Festival of India, IFFI, has called for entries for Indian Panorama 2021. The last date to submit applications online is 12th of August. The last date of receipt of the hard copy of the online submitted application, along with other requisite documents, is 23rd of August. Indian Panorama is a flagship component of the IFFI, under which best of contemporary Indian films are selected for the promotion of film art. The Union Government today said a total of 457 million COVID vaccine doses have been supplied to the states and Union territories from January till date. An additional 60.3 million doses are expected to be supplied by this month end. This will amount to a total of 517 million doses been supplied till the 31st of August. Dismissing the allegations that India will miss the July 2021 target of administering 500 million doses, the Health Ministry said in a release that it is the endeavour of the government to provide vaccination to eligible citizens in the shortest possible time as per availability of the COVID vaccines.
To boost the morale of the players in the Tokyo Olympics, good wishes are pouring from all across the country under the Cheer for India campaign. In Olympics, India had a good day today with victories coming in hockey, badminton and boxing. A report.
In hockey, men in blue defeated Spain 3-0 in group match of Pool A. Indian team took the 2-goal lead in the first quarter itself. Simranjeet Singh scored first goal in the 14th minute of the first quarter, while Rupinder Pal Singh shot the second one just before the end of the first quarter at 15th minute. Rupinder struck again in the 51st minute and scored the third goal for India. With this win, India now stands at second position in the group with 6 points. But today's spectacular event was boxing when Indian pugilist Lavina Borgohain started her Tokyo Olympics campaign with a hard-fought win over Germany's Nadine Apitz in the women's 69 kg round of 16 match. The two-time World Championship bronze medalist Lavlina Borgohain won the welterweight bout by 3-2 split decision. Lavlina started on the back foot after the Germany boxer's aggressive start, and the Indians' low guard gave Nadine several opportunities to connect her left jabs. On the other hand, Lavlina relied more on her counter-attacks to get points and found her footing as the round progressed, getting full points from 3 of the 5 judges. The second round was also equally contested, with both boxers managing to get the judges' attention. Lavlina was much more offensive and scored off her left hook and right uppercut combo, while Nadine was once again successful in landing her well-timed left jabs. In the third round, Nadine, also a two-time World Championship bronze medalist, upped the offense, but Lavlina's nimble footwork helped the Indian keep her distance. Lavlina will now face Chinese Taipei's Ne Chin Chan in the women's 69 kg quarterfinal on Friday. In badminton, Indian duo of Satvik Sairaj, Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty beat Ben Lane and Sean Venty of Great Britain in final Group A match of men's doubles 21-17, 21-19. In shooting, Indian mixed team of Manu Bhakar and Saurabh Chaudhary failed to qualify for the final in 10-meter air pistol event. In 10-meter air rifle mixed team event also, Indian teams of Elavanil Valarivan and Divyansh Singh Pawar and Anjum Modgil and Deepak Kumar could not make a cut for the final. In table tennis, Achant Sharat Kamal lost to Rio Olympics gold medalist M.A. Long of China by 4-1 in round 3. In sailing event, India's Vishnu Sarvanan finished 23rd and 22nd in men's one-person dinghy. However, all eyes will be on American artistic gymnast and 4-time Olympic gold medalist Simone Biles and her US teammates as the team final takes place inside Ariake Gymnastics Center. With PK Ghosh report, Swati Rakheja from Sports Desk.
In some more updates from Olympics, Carissa Moore of USA is now the Olympic women's surf champion. She beat Bianca Butendag of South Africa and registered a score of 14.93. The Hawaiian looked absolutely delighted as she was hoisted onto the shoulders of a team who carried her out of the water onto land. A 4-time WSL champion, Moore can now add Olympic championship to her impressive career honors. Italo Ferreira of Brazil has defeated Kanoa Igarashi of Japan with a massive lead in men's surfing event and secured a gold medal.
The second T20 International between India and Sri Lanka will be played at R. Premadasa Stadium in Colombo this evening. The match will start at 8 p.m. India won the first T20 International of the 3-match series on Sunday. The Sensex and the Nifty today witnessed modest losses in the afternoon trade. Both equity indices declined around 0.4% amid negative global cues. The BSE Sensex fell 227 points or 0.43% to trade at 52,626. The NSE Nifty also lost 64 points to trade at 15,761. In the forex market, the rupee also weakened 10 paise to 74 rupees and 52 paise against the US dollar.
Now let us take a look at the weather update for today. National capital Delhi is likely to experience generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Mumbai will have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Chennai is expected to have generally cloudy sky with light rain or drizzle. Kolkata will have generally cloudy sky with 1 or 2 spells of rain or thunder showers. Srinagar will experience partly cloudy sky with possibility of rain or thunderstorm or dust storm. Jammu will have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. Leh is expected to have partly cloudy sky. Gilgit will have partly cloudy sky. Muzaffarabad will experience thunderstorms. Minimum temperature will be 22 degrees Celsius and maximum will be around 26 degrees. Guwahati, Imphal, Shillong and Aizawl will have generally cloudy sky with a few spells of rain or thunder showers. In Guwahati, the minimum temperature will be around 26 degrees Celsius while maximum will be 34 degrees. Imphal will observe a minimum temperature of 24 degrees Celsius and a maximum of around 30 degrees. Kohima and Agartala are expected to have generally cloudy sky with moderate rain. And now, before we end the bulletin, the headlines once again. Both the Houses of Parliament faced several adjournments due to ruckus over Pegasus snooping, farm laws and other issues. Lok Sabha adjourned till 2:30 p.m. while Rajya Sabha till 3 p.m. Prime Minister Narendra Modi asks BJP MPs to ensure everyone becomes part of Azadi Ka Amrit Mahotsav to mark the 75th Independence Day celebration. President Ramnath Kovind addresses convocation ceremony of University of Kashmir in Srinagar. Women and Child Development Minister Smriti Irani launches 24/7 helpline number for women affected by violence. Defence Minister Rajnath Singh to leave for Tajikistan today to participate in the SCO Defence Ministers meet. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken to arrive in New Delhi today on a two-day visit. More than 44 crore 19 lakh COVID vaccine doses administered in the country so far. National COVID-19 recovery rate improves to 97.39%. In Olympics, boxer Lovlina Borgohain enter quarterfinals in women's welterweight category. Satwik Sairaj, Ranki Reddy and Chirag Shetty beat Ben Lane and Sean Wendy of Great Britain in men's doubles badminton. And in cricket, second T20 international between India and Sri Lanka to be played in Colombo this evening. And with that, we end the midday news.